Hi, everyone. Welcome back to God's Whispers, a place where we take the time to pause and reflect on the word of the Lord. Today I'm going to be speaking about Psalm 116, verses 12 through 19. The psalm begins with a very honest question. How shall I make a return to the Lord for all of the good he has done for me? It's a very personal question. From when I was reading, Psalm 116 is a part of a group of psalms known as the Halal Psalms, which are prayers of praise and thanksgiving that were sung during major Jewish feasts. These were psalms that people prayed after surviving danger, illness, or deep distress. So the psalmist had experienced rescue, either from suffering or from death or from fear, and now asks God, how do I respond? Let's listen. What shall I return to the Lord for all his bounty to me? I will lift up the cup of salvation and call on the name of the Lord. I will pay my vows to the Lord in the presence for all his people. Precious is the sight of the Lord, is the death of his faithful ones. O Lord, I am your servant. I am your servant, the child of your serving maid. You have loosed my bounds. I will offer to you a thanksgiving sacrifice and call on the name of the Lord. I will pay my vows to the Lord in the presence of all his people, in the courts of the house of the Lord, in your midst, O Jerusalem. Praise the Lord. In other words, when you kind of decipher it, it says, I will remember, I will worship, and I will live faithfully. That's so beautiful that the gratitude isn't expressed in terms of a repayment, because obviously you can't repay God, but instead, thanksgiving becomes a way of staying close or choosing to trust again. There's a deep communal part of it too, because the psalmist doesn't give thanks in private, but says, in the courts of the house of the Lord, in your midst, O Jerusalem. So gratitude leads back into the relationship with God and with the community. The psalmist reminds us that thanksgiving isn't just something we feel, it's something we practice. It's the way of returning to God, not because we owe him, but because we've been loved. So journal prompts that would go along with this psalm would be, where have I experienced God's help or presence recently? And how do I express gratitude, quietly, publicly, or not at all? And what would it look like to make gratitude to God a daily practice? And then finally, how can my thanksgiving shape how I live and relate to others? I hope that this message was encouraging to you, and if you feel like a friend could use some encouragement, please feel free to pass it along. And don't forget to subscribe so you can continue to hear God's Whispers.